28 minutes after 8 o'clock on KMTI in the Essential Morning Stretch. It's time now for our Table Talk program. And joining me is Cindy Packard, the founder of Care for Life. And what that is will be kind of explained as we move into our program. Cindy, we want to welcome you here to our Table Talk program.
Thank you so much, Larry. It's great to be with you.
Okay, Care for Life. Tell us about its beginnings. You're the founder of it. Tell us how this came to be.
Okay, well, about 18 years ago, I had a friend who went to Africa, and she told me about the problems of maternal and infant mortality. And I'm a midwife, and she said, you have to go do something. And so in the short version of the story is I did go over on a look-see trip thinking, no way was this ever going to, be something I could do. But I had some really strong impressions that I should go and try. And so when I got over there, I just said I wanted to help deliver babies. And we had talked to the Minister of Health while we were there. And he said, oh, no, we need much more than that. We need you to teach us how to be healthy. And so we were shocked when we saw the extent of the poverty there. I didn't have any idea how terrible it was. I mean, there was just no hope. These people were just living in the most dire conditions with no food, no shelter. And they had recently come out of a civil war. Before that, there had been oppressive colonization for hundreds of years. And so they really had lost the knowledge completely about how to take care of themselves and be healthy.
No self-reliance really at all then, huh, on the skill department?
No,
yeah.
They really had lost that knowledge. And when on my first trip, I was just looking and trying to learn, and everywhere I went, people just said, oh, can you give me some clothes? Can you give me some food? Can you give me some money? Can you build a school? Can you build a health clinic? And finally I said to this one man, of all the things that you need, what do you need the most? And he was an older, darling little man, and he said, you know what? We need knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of a turning point for me. I thought, okay, we can figure this out. We can do that. So I came home from that trip, and I just started reading and learning everything I could about aid to Africa. And I was really shocked to find out that billions of dollars have been spent in Africa and really hasn't changed a lot. And in some ways, it's made it worse because they have created sort of a culture of dependency. Mm-hmm. In our well-meaning efforts to help, we have given, and in effect, that hasn't helped them. It has caused dependence, the opposite of self-reliance. So we decided we wanted to do it differently. We wanted to find a different way to do that. And we, in all the books I was reading, I came across this little motto in one of the books that kind of really struck me, and it said, go to the people, live with them, love them, learn from them, work with them. Start with what they have, build on what they know, and in the end, the people will rejoice and say, we have done it ourselves. So that's kind of what we did. We went over, we talked to them, we talked about the primary problems that they had. So much of the aid is addressing the secondary problems. For example, orphanages. Let's build more orphanages. Let's, take care of the orphans. When really the primary problem is a lot of those kids even have family, but they're too poor to take care of them. So we went back to the family of origin, back to the village, and decided we were going to strengthen those families before they fell apart, before the kids became orphans. So that's what we do, and we call it the Family Preservation Program.
Okay, now you've alluded to some of them, but let's maybe put some emphasis right here on some of the guiding principles then that you use in Care for Life.
Okay, so statistically, 1 in 10 women die from a pregnancy-related complication, and 1 in 7 children die under the age of 5. So the statistics are just horrible. So our goal was to go into the orphan prevention business and keep those mothers alive and keep those babies alive. And so we found out that you can't just do one thing. You can't go in and just give them food because if they don't know what's causing their sickness, if they don't treat their water, all of these things work together. So we have what we call a comprehensive approach, and we focus on the teaching and application of 8 vital areas, and those are all directed at strengthening the family. So, for example, we go into village. We have 35 Mozambicans that work for us. They're our staff. It's all run by local Mozambicans, and we choose villages where the people are the poorest, the most vulnerable, the most in need, and which is pretty much all the villages. But we go into there and we work with their leaders, tell them this is what we're going to do. We're not going to give them things, but we're going to be there for 2.5 years. We're going to be there to help teach them the skills they need to become self-reliant, and then they won't need us and they won't need anyone after that. And first they're a little skeptical. They're like, really, how can we change our life if you don't give us stuff? But we build the village builds a small classroom. Well, it's kind of large because the whole village can come to that, and it's just thatched, natural materials, but a place where we can meet. And then we have classes in these 8 areas of focus. So one is literacy and education, health and hygiene, food security and nutrition, sanitation, income generation, home improvement, psychosocial well-being, and community participation. And these classes are all integrated, and right up front, we ask the village to choose volunteers who become specialists in those areas. That's so that we can gradually wean out of there and turn it over to these people. And they take classes in each of those areas. They set goals in each of those areas, and they are mentored every week. In the beginning by the Care for Life field officers, and then later they just form their own groups, village associations, and they support and help each other to reach the goals. So, for example, if a family wanted to grow a garden, which is a good way for them to have an income that they can sell, they have to go to the family gardening class, and they have to prepare their ground and fence their ground and get it all ready to go. But then here's the problem. When you're dealing with the poorest of the poor, how do they get seeds? So that was kind of a puzzle piece for us, because we didn't want to give them things, but at the same time they needed to get started. So they can earn a one-time reward. For example, with the gardening class, they can earn seeds, a hoe, and a watering can when they got everything ready to go. And that's a one-time deal. With the sanitation, the latrine class, we teach them how to dig a latrine, where it should be compared to their water source, and they can earn a bag of cement to help make that. And in the process of all of this learning, we teach them how to set up a savings and loan association that's all done within their own village. There's no outside money used. And when they get a little money, then we group them into 15 families, and they can advise each other on their businesses, and they can loan money to each other. And so it's like microcredit, but it's not dependent on some other organization coming in and giving them money. And we track lots of data for every one of the villages that we work with the Family Preservation Program. And the statistics are amazing. Like I said, we're there for 2.5 years. We continue to track data for 5 years after we leave a village. And we see a complete turnaround in the way the initial assessments. For example, treated water. When we go in, 4% are using treated water. When we leave, 98% are using treated water. And that will hold true for 5 years. In fact, in some ways, the numbers go up. Mm-hmm. Latrines, 14%, goes up to 91%. But I guess the biggest thing that we want to share is that the University of Utah came in and wanted to prove that what we were doing was really working. So they set up an independent 5-year randomized study, and they had 2 control villages, and those control villages compared with our villages over this 5-year study. And what they found out at the end of that, and it was recently published, was we lower maternal mortality by 78% and infant mortality by 57%. So that data it's really hard to find that anywhere else in the world. We've had people tell us what you're doing, nobody else is doing out there. So we're really excited about that.
That's what kind of drawn the attention in Utah was that University of Utah project on that one, on this thing. So,
and it even surprised us in a way that it was working so well. And I think that, there's three uniques about Care for Life. One of them is that we're a comprehensive program that we work with those in extreme poverty to teach them to become self-reliant, and they do, and we do that without handouts. The second one is we're evidence-based, time-tested, and we're proven to dramatically save lives. And the third one is it results in sustainable change that originates and is perpetuated by the local people. After we leave, it keeps going. You don't have to stay there forever and keep funding the program.
Yeah. We're talking with Cindy Packard with Care for Life and the work that they are involved with. So you've kind of alluded to it, but maybe just a little bit more on the success that you are seeing this way.
Okay, well, I wish I could paint a picture for your listeners, but if you walk into a village, what you see is hopelessness. I mean, if you can imagine what that's like. Eyes are downcast. People are sitting in the dirt. There's litter around them. They've just given up hope. No one knows they exist, and they're just expecting to die. They don't know what's causing them to be sick, and everybody's just kind of pulled into themselves. And we go into this village, and we tell them, you know what? You don't need someone to come in and build you a health clinic. You don't need someone to do this. You can do these things yourself, and let us teach you how. And a goal in Africa, we started talking about goals. They didn't even know what a goal was. It was like they live so day to day. So when we tell them you can set a goal and you can have a business, you can have a better house, you can find ways so that your family isn't going to be sick and all the time and die. And when we taught them those things, it was just like kind of this new vision. And then you start to see hope. When they start to see, hey, this really works. And I have to say, Care for Life kind of has a great reputation now out there. People know there's such thing as Care for Life villages because we've done quite a few, and people are waiting in line begging to please have the family preservation come because they know that it makes a difference. So even in a few months after they've started these classes, they can see, I can do this. I can build me a better house, Let me give you an example. We have a lot of what's called orphan-led families. These are kids whose parents have died. HIV is just rampant there, and malnutrition and everything. And so there's a lot of kids who are left without any parents or anyone to take care of them. So this one young man, his name is Alfredo. His parents died, and he was left to take care of his three siblings when he was 14 years old. And they've been homeless. They've just been begging everywhere they went. But when we came into the village and we taught him about goals, he just grabbed onto that thing, and we taught him how to make bricks out of native materials, and he and his siblings made 3,000 bricks, built them a house. He went to all of the classes. He made this amazing garden that he was able to sell his produce. He became the coordinator in his village for gardening, mentoring other people. And now they have a house. All the kids are back in school. He's studying to be a medical assistant. And life is just completely different for those people after they go through the program. And even in a few months, you can see the changes in there with the way that they have become self-reliant. And all of them have to have an income generation project of some kind. So we teach them how to do that, how to set those things up so that they can be successful in their businesses. And within a few months, that hopelessness turns to hope. And the mission of Care for Life is to alleviate suffering, promote self-reliance, and instill hope. And that's what we do.
Now, you said that you do have, we would call them the locals, the natives there that help out
Yes.
a lot in that regard. I am assuming you're seeing increasing numbers of that. For example, maybe this Alfredo can soon become an asset to be using and blessing those outside of his community.
Yes, and that's exactly there. That's exactly what we've seen. It's in psychological terms, it's called the positive deviant. If the Care for Life village, as it starts to change, Alfredo has friends outside the village. He has people that he connects with. They see the change in him. They're like, "Whoa, what happened to you? You have a house, you have a job, you're healthy." And then he tells them, "This is what I do." And part of becoming a family preservation village is that all the people in that village know they have to share the knowledge that they've received. And so the villages, what you see is you see people moving into that village because they know, wow, there's something different about that village. First of all, it's really clean and the people are really happy and they help each other. That's another thing is if people are so poor, if they only have, one meal a day, they're not going to be able to help their neighbor with anything. And so that's part of the training is that you learn this, you have to teach it, and you have to share it. So anyone that moves in the village after that has to reach this standard. And the people like Alfredo, they share the knowledge they have with others. And so you'll start to see little family preservation programs kind of cropping up in villages around the Care for Life village. That's why we never do villages right next to each other, because we know that it's going to spread. So whenever you give $1 to Care for Life, it's going to go a really long way.
So are you working only?
Long-lasting.
Yeah, are you working only in Mozambique, or what all countries are you working in there?
Right. Right now, we're only working in Mozambique. Mozambique is one of the poorest countries in the world. It's always in about the lowest 7, but 22 of the 24 poorest countries on the Human Suffering Index are all in Africa. Mm-hmm. So our goal really isn't to take Care for Life to every country. What our goal is to share the knowledge that we have gained with other governments and organizations, and it's not proprietary. We don't want to be Care for Life all over the world, but we'd like other NGOs and other nonprofits, any organization that's working with poverty elimination, we'd like to share with you what we have, and because we know it works, we know it's effective, it's very cost effective, you don't have to stay in a place a long time, the change it makes is significant and real, and it goes on for generations. So our goal is to expand only through other organizations. We do have a plan right now, if we can get enough funding, to go to the southern part of Mozambique. Mozambique is huge. It's twice the size of California. Mm-hmm. And so our goal is to go down there and start another program down there, and eventually take it to other places. It's a kind of program that really could work anywhere. It could work in South America. It could work in Asia. Because it really deals with the extreme poor, and just to get them started on the road to self-reliance. And so, yeah, we do want to share that and hope that people will go to our website and learn about what we do. We have a Facebook page, an Instagram page. We're trying to get the word out as much as we can.
Do you have any kind of thing here where maybe a high school student or a college student, if they wanted to volunteer for a couple of months and have that kind of experience, that they can get involved in any way?
Yes, we do. We've had lots and lots of volunteers go to Mozambique and help out. So there's lots of different ways people can help. They can help here at home. If they can't go to Mozambique, they can help here at home. We have college students who, for example, they did a fundraiser, they did a fun run, they did a dinner, they did a hunger night, and were able to raise money for Care for Life. A lot of those kids go on to then wanting to go to Mozambique. On our website, there's a place called How You Can Help, and there's different things that we need, and it might say we need a team of 5 to go to Mozambique and work on teaching our staff about accounting, or something like that. We recently had students go over that filmed and took pictures that we can use in our newsletters and things. We do interns. So college internships, if they need an internship, we can arrange that. We've had lots of interns who've stayed up to 3 to 6 months sometimes. When we were putting together the family preservation program, we used interns to help us coordinate and combine the classes together so they all make sense. We have a children's club that meets on Saturdays, and the children's club, we teach them a lot of the same things, but we do it in a really fun, interactive way. So when we have interns, they can go over and interact with the kids and help them learn. And so we have people of all ages that help us. We have people, we are mostly a volunteer organization here in the U.S. We only have a couple of paid staff, and the rest of us are all volunteers. And so if there's a retired person out there that's an accountant, we need you. You know, if there's a retired teacher out there that can help us, if there's a Portuguese speaker that can help us translate, we need lots of part-time volunteers to keep it going. And we'd love to have people give us a call and find out what skills or what interests they have and how they could help with this effort.
Do you have some corporate partners as well, or corporates that kind of help out?
Well, you know, that's an area that we would love to expand. We are working on that. We've recently hired a marketing director, and we're reaching out to corporate sponsors. We have partnered with other organizations before, but we don't have ongoing corporate sponsors, and it's an area that we'd really like to explore and find out how to do that. We've been really good at developing the program in Mozambique. I can say that we're now kind of moving into this next level where we reach out and try to find corporate sponsors who can help us expand and grow even more than we are right now.
Okay. Now, people, they sometimes are very leery about giving money. They're thinking, how do I know it's going to get to where I want it to go? I want, a water to the end of the row. I want my money to go to the people who need it. How can they be assured that Care for Life, their money is going to be well used?
Okay. That's a great question, and I think everyone needs to ask that. When we first got started, we researched some of that, and if you give to some of these big aid organizations that are so well known, you track that dollar, and by the time that dollar gets to the end of the row, it might be 14 cents, because of all the overhead. So I will guarantee that 100% of the donation that you give, if you give $50 to Care for Life, $50 goes to Mozambique, and it goes to buy the cement for the rewards. It goes to pay for the salaries that our small staff over there needs to continue. It goes to buy the seeds to put in the garden. And all of our expenses here in the U.S. for our 2 paid volunteers, newsletters, all those things, those are handled by the Care for Life board. So none of the donations are taken off the top at all. And we are a 501c3 organization, so you will get a tax-deductible donation for any donation that you make. And we have some on our website. We have ways to help, and we have like a $5 a month club. A lot of teenagers, if they give up, buying a hamburger and a Coke, you can give that once a month to Care for Life. And so those ongoing donations are something that are really helpful to allow us to know how we can project where we can go or how many villages we can take on. But I would really encourage, we have some videos on our website. The hard thing about radio is I can't show you the pictures.
Right.
So if you go to the website, it's www.careforlife.org. You can find out ways to help, to donate your time or your resources. You can watch some videos that we have made. I spoke a few years ago at the UN, and there's a video about that. And it will help people understand better how they can help if they have a few hours a week, or if they, want to help financially. And it will also tell you where the money will go and what lasting change it can make.
Cindy, we appreciate your time this morning.
Well, thank you, Larry. Thank you so much for having us on, and we are grateful for the opportunity to share what Care for Life is doing.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Cindy
you.
Packard, she is the founder of Care for Life. Again, that's Care for Life. You put that in your browser search window, and that'll get you to where you Cindy had alluded to there. That's our table talk for this morning, Care for Life here at KMTI.